Представники політики та бізнесу сьогодні зібралися в Торонто в клубі Albany для того, аби поговорити про можливості та перспективи для новоприбулих іммігрантів, в тому числі українців. Подія відбулася 18 січня в центрі Торонто. Головним організатором заходу виступила організація Newcomers, яка допомагає новоприбулим іммігрантам, здебільшого з України та Афганістану, в здобутті робочої кваліфікації, аби стати конкурентними на канадському ринку праці. Організація співпрацює з урядом та бізнес-партнерами та забезпечує новоприбулих онлайн-тренінгами, курсами з підвищення кваліфікації та допомогою в пошуку роботи.
As you know, the life in Canada is really expensive. So many Ukrainians come here and then go back from here. So do you think Canada is the best option for Ukrainian refugees?
I want Canada to have its doors open for as many Ukrainians that want to come as possible. We have this historic diaspora here that goes right back to the first days when Ukrainians moved outside of what was then the Russian Empire, Austro-Hungarian Empire, to what we call today Western countries, and we will never lose that part of our identity. That's one of the reasons why Ukrainians feel welcome here. But you're right, life is expensive, and there are closer options, and there are some Ukrainians who want to go back and forth. And so we want to support our friends and allies in Central Europe as well, who are hosting much larger numbers of Ukrainians, if that's a better choice. I think the operating principle here is choice, and strengthening the support networks here that ensure that Ukrainians thrive, enjoy themselves, find affordable solutions. Not everyone has to live in Toronto. You know, this is one point that ministers make, we all make. The quality of life can be better in Atlantic Canada or smaller cities of Ontario or parts of Western Canada that aren't the usual destinations. And so we want Ukrainians to have choice when they come to Canada as well. And if they don't think downtown Toronto or downtown Montreal is affordable for them, find another solution where they may find an even stronger support network of people who've come before and people who understand and want to help Ukraine, because this is, let's not mince words, this is the most important issue the world is facing. We want Ukrainians to succeed in Canada, but we also want victory for Ukraine. We want Russia to get its ass kicked and thrown out of Ukrainian territory completely. And the sooner the better. As we get into the weeds of housing debate and debates over numbers on immigration and integration and the job market, we sometimes lose sight of the big picture, which is the benefit that newcomers bring to Canada. To places like Toronto, where they've been coming in large numbers all our lifetimes, and to places where they're coming in large numbers now for the first time in a while, such as New Brunswick. Give me a sense of what those benefits look like to you in your portfolios and in your governments, and what sectors and skills are most in demand, are feeling the need for immigrants and the benefits of immigration today.
As we welcome newcomers to Canada, we have to be absolutely sure that we have the social infrastructure and the physical infrastructure in place to be able to accept and be able to integrate those people. Now, I know you were talking earlier about the Ukraine, and that makes my point. We have always been welcoming, not just of Hungarians, but Ukraine and people around the world. But we got to make sure that we are able to integrate in the sense of have good jobs, have a housing, have social programs, language skills, home care, you name it. And that's what makes this country so fantastic. But we have an obligation now to make sure we can accommodate that. We'll talk about critical infrastructure first. You know, Ernie talked about schools. The previous government closed 600 schools. Closed 600 schools. So we had to, catch up. 1,600 nurses were let go by the previous government. We've registered, and since we came into power in 2018, 80,000 new nurses. In fact, last year was a record, 18,000 nurses in 1 year. Another 30,000 in our school system. So, we have to, as part of that, make sure that we continue to attract people right around the world. We get a lot from Southeast Asia, from Europe, all over the world, different circumstances, but the credentialing is a challenge. It takes a long time. If any of you have dealt with government before and try to do the paperwork to get registered in anything, it's a painful experience. And so we, along with the federal government, and a lot of the immigration is, as you know, a result of the federal government. They have the powers. So what are we doing? We're making sure that we build the infrastructure, first the critical infrastructure, the schools, the hospitals, increased number of beds, highways, subways, the critical infrastructure. But we're also working on the human element. I just mentioned credentialing. We're targeting right across the spectrum. Chris, you asked the types of skills. There's 140 different skilled trades in Ontario.
Dear Minister, first of all, as a member of Ukrainian community, I would like to thank you for all the support you've been doing for Ukrainian newcomers who are fleeing the war and coming to Ontario and especially to Toronto. So thank you very much from all the Ukrainian community. Ukrainians are continuing to come to Canada to seeking a safe place to stay because the war is continuing. So could they expect that support of the province will continue and they will feel they're safe and sound here in Ontario?
Well, first off, thank you for that. And our support for Ukraine is unwavering. They're fighting, as I mentioned in my remarks, for democracy and freedom. And so we have to continue to support, to your question, the good people of the Ukraine who are, having to struggle for democracy, and all of us in the conflict. As it relates to support for, and we've accepted a lot of Ukrainians here in Ontario. We have an incredible Ukrainian community here in Ontario and right across Canada. But I think we've had over, I think it's getting close to 100,000 Ukrainians come from Ukraine here during the conflict, and we've provided supports, and it's a range of supports. It's things like language skills that we've provided for, childcare, housing, healthcare, because of course when you come to a new country, and it's not just for the Ukrainians who are in a very dire situation, but we have conflict in many parts of the world, and we feel strongly to continue to support the people who come to Canada and want to be kept safe, to have an opportunity, and have some of the freedoms that they may not get from their home country.
Чому це важливо?
Подія, напевно, важлива тому, що самий факт, що відбувається цей форум щодо України, щодо імміграції, щодо забезпечення новоприбулих працею, житлом, іншими проблемами, які виникають, воно важливо, щоб ці питання підносилися, було на порядку денному, тому що ми бачимо, війна в Україні продовжується, ми бачимо конфлікти в інших країнах світу, ми бачимо величезний наплив в Канаду іммігрантів. І вони приїжджають, звичайно, також вони тут стикаються з різними проблемами. І тому важливо, щоб і політики, і роботодавці, і представники цих імміграційних кіл, які приїжджають сюди, мали можливість поспілкуватися і тоді розглядали ці проблеми в реальному часі і їх вирішували, розв'язували ці проблеми. Це одне. Напевно, також важливо, тому що про ці речі говорити, тому що ми бачимо зараз, чи це CBC, чи CTV, чи канадські засоби масової інформації практично нічого зараз не говорять про Україну. Пройшло вже майже 2 роки від початку повномасштабного вторгнення Росії в Україну. Виникли інші зараз є проблеми, економічні проблеми, війна на Близькому Сході і в Ізраїлі, і про Україну майже нічого зараз не говориться. І тому дуже важливо, щоб такі форуми відбувалися, щоб політики відчували, що ці теми, вони важливі для канадського електорату, і їм цими проблемами треба займатися. Це підтримка, звичайно, України, воюючої України, яка бореться з російською агресією, але це тоді також проблема підтримка української громади тут, чи то в Онтаріо, чи в Нью-Брансвік, чи по всій Канаді, інших провінцій. І це також проблема тих новоприбулих, які зараз приїжджають, які деякі знаходять себе тут в Канаді, деякі мають проблеми, які треба розв'язувати. І тому такі форуми дуже-дуже важливі, що відбувалися, особливо коли це відбувається в серці бізнесово-політичного Торонто на Бей-стріт, в такому відомому закладі, як OMNI Club в Торонто. Це дуже важливо.
What does it look like to you? Where are newcomers having the greatest impact, and where are the greatest needs?
In Finance and Treasury Board, when we first started bringing in Ukrainians, we were early in the game. So back in April of 2020, I guess it was 2022, wasn't it? 2022, when the war had just started. We said, you know what, let's do something real. First of all, we had a premier, and you must have all seen Blaine Higgs talk of one time or another, my premier, and he is a straightforward guy, and he looks at things from a very practical nature. And so when everybody was giving money to Ukraine, Blaine said, well, what did they ask for? And somebody said, well, they're asking for guns. And he said, then let's send them guns. And then he said, you know what, let's get them over here. Let's get them over here. So let's get a plane over there and let's go and pick them up. And we picked up a number of people in Poland who already had either family over here or had a chance at a job. We took 200 people, filled a jet full of 200 people, brought them to, they landed in Moncton at like midnight. Everybody was out there to see them. It was exciting.
As you know, people from Ukraine, they are still coming. They are still coming. So could they expect to stay safe and sound in the province of New Brunswick these days?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. They can expect to stay here as long as they want. We would expect that the Ukrainians that are coming over, a lot of them are going to want to go over. You know, hope to the Lord that this war ends soon. But one would think that after the war ends, that they would end up going back to their own land. But they have to win first, and that's the challenge, isn't it? But yes, absolutely, they're welcome in New Brunswick and the East Coast and in all of Canada, I'm sure. As long as they need the help, then we'll be here for them.
Thank you very much. And one more quick question. Which professions, which areas could they expect to find the first jobs in New Brunswick?
The top two would be healthcare and skilled trades. So plumber, electrician, carpenter, like that. Yeah, so those are the two. Healthcare, nurses, doctors, and skilled trades. And we'll help you get settled, and we'll help you find out what the province is about. We'll work with you in skills development, whatever it takes. So, we're happy to have more Ukrainians come to New Brunswick for sure.
Як активний член української громади, ви точно знаєте про те, що 2 роки люди з України приїжджали до Канади, але вони продовжують приїжджати, вони шукають прихисток і захист не лише в Онтаріо, Нью-Брансвіку, але по всій Канаді, по всіх провінціях. Чи можуть вони далі вважати Канаду тою країною, куди безпечно і якісно можна переїхати та спробувати влаштувати своє життя заново?
Ну, звичайно, Канада завжди була і залишається країною іммігрантів. Ми самі приїхали у свій час з України і залишилися в Канаді, і ми бачимо, що ця імміграція зараз зростає великими темпами, і чим раз тим більше іммігрантів прибуває в Канаду. Але, звичайно, новоприбулі зустрічають тут різні виклики, труднощі, які пов'язані, і ця імміграція, напевно, не для кожного. Я розумію, що не всі українці, які сюди прибули, і всі приїжджають з різних причин, вони всі тут залишаться, напевно, більшість з їх повернеться в Україну, і це є закономірно, і це є нормально, і це потрібно, тому що в Україні також потрібно відбудовувати Україну, підтримувати українську економіку. Не всіх в кінці кінців підходить імміграція, багато хто знаходить себе тільки на батьківщині. Але також важливо, щоб ті, які сюди приїжджали, щоб вони для них були створені такі умови, де вони себе могли знайти, де вони могли собі професійно розвиватися, їхні сім'ї були забезпечені, також могли підтримувати повноцінно канадську економіку. І знову ж таки, дуже важливо, щоб ці заходи, ці форуми продовжилися. Важливо, щоб українська громада, в тому числі і новоприбулі, мали можливість спілкуватися із канадськими політиками, із членами канадського уряду і мали якийсь вплив на ці питання, аби ці питання не вирішувалися в вакуумі.
I saw that you continue to help Ukrainians and Afghan refugees. And I've also saw that you have some programs from, for example, McMaster University. So could you please just specify what support do you have for Ukrainian newcomers?
Well, UDEMIS is Latin for we employ, and we're dedicated to helping Afghans, Ukrainians, and new Canadians get Canadian credentials so they can get jobs here in Canada and earn a better living for themselves and their families and help build our economy. So we have a number of programs. We're partnered with McMaster University, for example. And so our first program was Afghans and Ukrainians in the Ontario manufacturing sector. And we've been helping those new Canadians get certificate from McMaster. It's a micro-credential in manufacturing. And then we give them job skills so they understand what it's like to work in manufacturing. And then we line them up with employers so they find jobs. So that was a group of 60 people that we've been helping. We actually had the ability to break out, and we did an accelerator program for 58 additional people. So we're now over 100 that we've helped, and we're hoping to get funding to do that into the next year.
Канада продовжує залишатися країною, для якої перспективи імміграції завжди будуть пріоритетними. Отож, українських іммігрантів, так само як всіх, хто потерпає зараз в конфліктах та війнах, чекають в провінціях Онтаріо та Нью-Брансвіку та загалом всій Канаді. Костянтин Сніцер, Роксолана Буяк, Форум ТВ, Торонто.